Salute, sir.
Welcome our chief guest, Group Captain Ashish Mishra, Chief Administration Officer, and Squadron Leader Ghanshyam Singh, Officer IC of School, and the other dignitaries present. The Youth Parliament is an integral part of the Swatantrata Center, is a liberal public policy think tank based in India. The idea of Youth Parliament is to get the youth of this country into a direct open conversation with the people who frame policies and the people who matters. Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity. To make this event a blessed one, let's invoke Goddess Saraswati by lightening the lamp. I would like to request our chief guest, sir, Group Captain Ashish Mishra, Cadamo, to light the auspicious lamp. Sir. Dignitaries to kindly join for the national anthem.
आदरणीय सभासदों, आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, प्रभात खड़ी है।
Honorable members, I warmly welcome you all to witness this session of Youth Parliament. I know this session will be a very fruitful one as we sit here to elaborate important matters concerning our nation. As we know, yesterday 300 MPs came here and took their oath of affirmation, and some of them were also not present yesterday, but they are present today. So, now I would request them to come to Secretary General and take their oath of affirmation. Secretary General, please.
I would like to call Ms. Nalika from Hamirpur constituency of Ma'am, you will take oath or affirmation in this language.
संस्कृत अहम विधायक हिमाचल प्रदेश से हमीरपुर लोकसभा क्षेत्र सांसद सदस्य निर्वाचित अभूव अहम सत्यनिष्ठाया प्रतिज्ञा करोमि यत् अहं विधाय स्थापित भारतदेशस्य संविधानस्य प्रति श्रद्धां निष्ठां च धारयिष्यामि देशस्य प्रभुता अखण्डता च अक्षुण्णता यः पदम् अहं ग्रहीष्यामि तस्य कर्तव्यं श्रद्धापूर्वकं निर्वहणं करिष्यामि।
Next in queue is Anaga from Mysore constituency of Karnataka. Ma'am, you will take oath or affirmation. Oath. In which language? Kannada.
ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಅನಘ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ ಲೋಕಸಭೆಯ ಸದಸ್ಯರಾಗಿ ಆಯ್ಕೆಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾನು ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಮೂಲಕ ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸಲಾದ ಭಾರತದ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಜವಾದ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಿಷ್ಠೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಎಂದು ನಾನು ದೇವರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮಾಣ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾನು ಭಾರತದ ಸಾರ್ವಭೌಮತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಗ್ರತೆಯನ್ನು ಎತ್ತಿ ಹಿಡಿಯುತ್ತೇನೆ ಮತ್ತು
Maren to take oath. Ma'am, you will take oath or affirmation. Oath. In this language? In English.
I, Priya Mishra, having been elected from Shillong constituency of Meghalaya to become the member of the Youth Parliament, swear to the name of God that I will bear a true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India. I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India and will faithfully discharge the duties on which I am about to enter.
For the next oath, we have Aditya Vinaya from Ernakulam constituency of Kerala. So, you will take oath in which language? Kerala.
ಲೋಕಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂಗಮ തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ആദിത്യ വിനായക് അയാൾ ഞാൻ നിയമപ്രകാരം ഏർപ്പെടുത്തപ്പെട്ട ഇന്ത്യൻ ഭരണഘടനയുടെ വിധാനങ്ങൾ പ്രദർശിപ്പിച്ച് കൊല്ലാമെന്ന് ഏറ്റെടുക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന കർത്തവ്യം വിശ്വാസമാണ് നിർവഹിച്ച് കൊല്ലാമെന്നും ദൈവത്തിന്റെ നാമത്തിൽ പ്രതിജ്ഞ ചെയ്യുന്നു. ജയൻ.
Next in queue is Vishika from Mathura constituency of Uttar Pradesh. Take oath or affirmation. Affirmation. In which language? In Hindi. मैं इशिका भट्ट जो युवा संसद सदस्य उत्तर प्रदेश के मथुरा चुनाव क्षेत्र से निर्वाचित हुई हूँ, मैं सत्य निष्ठा से प्रतिज्ञा करती हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा व निष्ठा रखूंगी, देश की प्रभुता एवं अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगी तथा जिस पद को मैं ग्रहण करने वाली हूँ उसके कर्तव्य का श्रद्धापूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगी. For the last one, Darya from Jalpaiguri constituency of West Bengal. Ma'am, you will take oath or affirmation. Affirmation. In which language? In Bengali. আমি শরণ্যা যুব সংসদ সদস্য নির্বাচিত হবার জন্য সত্যনিষ্ঠার সাথে প্রতিজ্ঞা করছি যে আমি ভারতের সংবিধানের প্রতি আমার শ্রদ্ধা বজায় রাখব এবং ভারতের অখণ্ডতা এবং প্রভুত্ব অক্ষুণ্ণ রাখব আর একজন সংসদ সদস্য হিসাবে যে আমার দায়িত্ব এবং কর্তব্য তে আমি শ্রদ্ধাপূর্বক নির্বাহন করব. জয় হিন্দ.
Honorable members, I would like to inform the House about the said demands of our former colleague, Mr. Venugopal Subramanian. Mr. Subramanian was MP from Chennai constituency from year 2014 to 2019. Mr. Subramanian was a social and educational reformer. He had worked effortlessly to improve the conditions of rural students and worked selflessly to provide them good opportunity in education. Mr. Subramanian died on 6th October 2021. Now, I will request the House to stand in silence for a few minutes as a mark of respect to the departed soul.
A great humanitarian. I am deeply honored to work with him. He had a deep care for poor, uneducated, and underprivileged. His life is an inspiration for you, and his loss is a personal loss for us. Today, I on behalf of whole cabinet, we send my deep condolence to his family.
सेक्रेटरी जनरल, यह मैसेज मृतक के परिवार तक पहुंचा है। Now, I would request the Prime Minister to introduce the new ministers to the House.
Speaker sir, I have the privilege to introduce and the Parliament about the newly appointed Minister of the Cabinet, Ministry of Cooperation, Ms. Palak Nas, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Ms. Srishti, Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, Ms. Jasmeera Kaur, Ministry of Textile, Mr. Devansh Tripathi, Ministry of Agriculture, Farmer Welfare, Mr. Kunal Singh, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Shresh Pratap Singh, Ministry of Electricity, Mr. Anand Singh, Ministry of State, Ms. Komal.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask a few questions to the Minister of Education, Mr. Rao. What are the efforts made by the government for online classes during the COVID crisis, and what are the new education methods?
The Education Minister.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I want to tell the Parliament that due to the COVID crisis, students were connected to their studies, e-learning and online learning, and were taught with the help of ICT tools. Like the government of each country, the Indian government was also taught offline, but the existing e-learning infrastructure was a particular day. While there was a need to devise new plans and not new ones so that they can be tailored to the needs of the students. The major initiatives taken at the forefront of the noble battle by the Ministry of Education and Literacy and the Department of Human Resources Development include Diksha, Swayamprabha Portal, Shiksha Vanan, E-Pathshala and National Repository of Open Educational Resources. It is worth noting that apart from the initiatives taken by the central government, the state government also took many initiatives that were very helpful to the students, and despite the issues faced in this learning, the outcomes were very satisfactory.
Next question, please.
Students are saying that online education is good, but everybody knows that offline education is the best. So then why has the government preferred online classes during the crisis?
The Minister, please reply.
I want to clear the point that safety of the students was the first priority of the government during the COVID crisis, and that can only be obtained through online classes as it was hard to maintain corona protocols in offline classes.
Next question, please.
What has the government done for the school fee payment, as many of the children of the guardians have lost their lives?
The Minister.
I want to say that all the guardians of students studying in government schools have already been exempted from paying fees, while 20 to 30% concession have already been given in private schools. The scholarship plan has also been extended to cover a large section of the students. The government is also giving 10 lakh rupees to each student who has lost his or her parents during the COVID crisis from the PM CARES Fund.
Madam, you have any more questions?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Next question, please. Question number 102. Ms. Megha.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महिला एवं बाल विकास मंत्रालय की महोदया से मेरा यह प्रश्न है कि महिलाओं के संरक्षण के लिए विभिन्न योजनाएं बनाई गई, परंतु आज भी मुझे अत्यंत ही खेद के साथ कहना पड़ रहा है कि लोगों के बीच जागरूकता की कमी है। अनेक कृषि इलाकों में लोग ना तो योजनाओं के बारे में जानते हैं तथा वो इनके गलत उससे भी पूरी तरह वंचित हैं। आपका इस कार्य पर क्या करना है?
The Minister of Women and Child Development.
नमस्कार अध्यक्ष जी एवं सभी मंत्रीगण। महोदया, हमने महिलाओं के लिए निःशुल्क शिक्षा केंद्र खोले हैं, जहां पर महिलाओं को विद्या के साथ साथ जागरूकता के भी पाठ पढ़ाए जा रहे हैं। हमारी सरकार द्वारा अपनी ग्राम व्यवस्था में यह सुनिश्चित किया गया
महिलाओं को उनके अधिकारों के लिए जागरूक किया जाए। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी द्वारा 2015 में आयोजित एक ऐसी अनोखी योजना बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, जिसके तहत आज तक इस देश की 6 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा बेटियों को शिक्षा प्राप्त हुई। 2017 में हमारे द्वारा चलाई गई योजना महिला शक्ति केंद्र योजना, जो महिलाओं के संरक्षण एवं सशक्तिकरण हेतु बनाई गई। हमने सपोर्ट टू ट्रेनिंग एंड विमेन एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोग्राम की भी शुरुआत करी, जिसका उद्देश्य था हर वो महिला जो स्वरोजगार या उद्यमी बनना चाहती है, उनको दक्षता, रोजगार, कौशल एवं आर्थिक सहायता प्रदान की जाए। आज हमारी सरकार महिला सशक्तिकरण के लिए पूरी तरह समर्पित है। जन्म से लेकर जीवन के हर चरण में इस देश की बेटियों व बहनों की रक्षा, सुरक्षा एवं सशक्तिकरण हेतु तमाम योजनाएं आज चल रही हैं। फिर चाहे वो प्रसूता माता के पोषण के लिए 6,000 रुपए को सीधी आर्थिक सहायता को सुरक्षित मातृत्व सुनिश्चित कराने की योजना हो, मुफ्त टीकाकरण अभियान हो, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ योजना हो, सुकन्या समृद्धि योजना हो, विद्यालय व घरों में शौचालय सुविधा योजना हो या फिर उज्ज्वला योजना हो, ऐसी तमाम योजनाओं के रूप में हमारी सरकार द्वारा इस देश की बेटियों व बहनों का उज्जवल भविष्य सुनिश्चित किया गया है।
Next question, please.
Yes, sir. आपने महिलाओं को शिक्षित करके उन्हें स्वावलंबी बनाने के अनेक तरीके दिए हैं, परंतु आज भी समाज में क्या महिला व पुरुष बराबर हैं? क्या समाज ने महिलाओं को भी उतना ही अधिकार दिया है जितना कि पुरुषों को? क्या हर महिला स्वावलंबी है? आज भी ऐसे अनेक क्षेत्र हैं जहां पर सिर्फ पुरुषों का ही बोलबाला है, अतः महिलाओं को उनसे कम आंका जाता है। भ्रूण हत्या पर आपका क्या विचार है?
महोदय, महिलाओं ने अपने आप को हर क्षेत्र में सिद्ध करा है। हमारे भारत देश में महिलाएं राष्ट्रपति पद पर आसीन रही, वर्षों वर्ष प्रधानमंत्री रही। हमारी कल्पना चावला और सुनीता विलियम्स ने वर्जनाओं को भेजकर अंतरिक्ष में उड़ाने भरी हैं। संतोष यादव ने अपने महिला हाथ से एक बार नहीं और अभी तो बार-बार हिमालय को नापा है। विश्व के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र की नेता प्रतिपक्ष भी महिलाएं रह चुकी हैं। आज सीमाओं पर जाते हुए नभ, थल, जल तीनों की वर्णन करते हैं। यह वह चित्र है जो हमारे भारत देश की प्रतिष्ठा पूरे विश्व में बढ़ाते हैं। जहां तक मैं भ्रूण हत्या के बारे में बात करूं, तो हमारी सरकार द्वारा भ्रूण हत्या को एक दंडनीय अपराध घोषित किया गया है, जिसके विरुद्ध पिछली सरकार ने भी अनेक नियम एवं कानून बनाए थे, परंतु उनका कड़ाई से पालन नहीं करा रही है। हमारी सरकार ने यह सुनिश्चित किया है कि भ्रूण हत्या के विरुद्ध हर एक कानून का कड़ाई से पालन हो एवं जहां कहीं भी भ्रूण हत्या होती पाई गई है, उनके विरुद्ध हमारी सरकार द्वारा कठोर कदम लिए गए हैं एवं आगे भी लिए जाएंगे।
Honorable Speaker, Finance Minister Ms. Ayanija Pandey, you recently held an economic survey. What are your reports on that?
The Finance Minister.
Respected Speaker, sir, on the basis of a recent economic survey, I would like to propose for universal basic income. This is a form of social security in which all the citizens of a nation get a regular and unconditional sum of money, independent of any other income. Experts are of an opinion to rationalize on the characteristics of a basic income in India. The COVID pandemic has led to a large-scale unemployment, thus leading to a huge increase in poverty. UBI implementation, with all the safety precautions kept in mind, can grant a huge relief in the present scenario.
Next question.
Justify that UBI money given to a citizen cannot be used in a wrong way, like purchasing drugs and dangerous substances.
The Finance Minister, please reply.
The government is working on this issue and will soon be informed about the steps taken by the government in this field of concern.
Next question.
During this COVID-19 pandemic. But I have some questions from the Health Minister, Mr. Vishal Ray. My first question is that what Health Ministry is doing to tackle the issues of COVID-19? Secondly,
The Health Minister.
Yes, sir. For this, I would first like to mention the information on this new virus diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome or MERS and Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome or SARS. Novel coronavirus or COVID-19 was identified for the first time in the city of Wuhan in China in the year of 2019. This kind of coronavirus was not found within humans earlier. Waves after wave of COVID-19 has caused havoc around the world. What started in China has now caused a global upsurge, without registering lakhs of deaths in this brutal second wave. However, the Indian government has responded to the threat and taken stringent actions to detect, treat, and reduce the transmission of this deadly virus.
Question is also for the Health Ministry. What are the steps taken by the government to help the orphan children who had lost their parents due to COVID-19?
On the evening of this government's second anniversary in its second term, our Honorable Prime Minister announced a number of welfare measures for the children who lost their parents due to this pandemic, including ensuring a corpus of rupees 10 lakhs for each of them when he or she will turn 18. Chairing a meeting to deliberate on the steps which can be taken to support such children, our Honorable Prime Minister said that they will be supported under the PM Cares Children's Scheme. The Prime Minister's Office or PMO said in a statement that fixed deposits will be opened in the names of such children and the PM Cares Fund will contribute through a special design scheme to ensure a corpus of rupees 10 lakhs for each of them when he or she will turn 18. This corpus will be used to give a monthly financial support or starting from 18 years of age for the next 5 years for his or her personal usage during the period of higher education. On reaching the age of 23 years, he or she will receive the sum as a one-lump sum for his or her personal or professional use. For their education, the Prime Minister's Office also said that the children under the age of 10 years will be given admission in the nearest Kendriya Vidyalaya or in a private school as a day scholar.
My second question from the Health Minister is that what steps government has taken to prevent people from COVID-19 and to carry the vaccination program successfully?
The precautionary steps that the Indian government has been taking since the starting of this pandemic. Many Indian states have initiated night curfews from night around 10 p.m. to morning 5 to 6 a.m. to battle this raging second wave. Curfews essentially curb the unnecessary movement of people here and there. However, the government has continued the provisions for the people who are engaged in essential services. States like Maharashtra have also brought back the e-pass system. Many Indian states have also made it mandatory for the people travelling to carry a negative RT-PCR test while entering the different states. Only people in emergencies will be given the pass for inter-district and interstate travel. With such stringent guidelines, people will be discouraged to getting out a lot, which is the ultimate counter-attack against this virus that the government has been doing since the month of May this year. About 70% of the Indians have received the vaccine, with over 55% being fully vaccinated. With the accelerated vaccine strategy in place, more and more of Indians will be inoculated against the parallel dangers of this notorious COVID-19 virus, thereby eliminating the possibility of any future waves and promising finally a return of normalcy.
Now, the question number 1.
Minority students' education and has it benefited anyone else?
The Ministry of
Education is one of the most fundamental factors to the progress of the country. Through the years, many children have been deprived of basic education due to many factors, one of the most common cause being lack of money and poor background. Our government had noticed this issue and decided to work upon it. Starting from 2016, we launched the Naya Udan Yojana and the Naya Savera Yojana that dealt with the cases that face these issues. The objective of Naya Udan Yojana being to provide financial support to minority students wanting to clear prelims conducted by UPSC, SPSC and to secure placements in the sectors of private job and STEM. Any child whose family's total income was less than 6 lakhs per annum could apply for financial help through these. 5 years after its origin, our government can assure you that these schemes have been a success and are still leading towards progress. Over 140 students have been able to clear civil examinations and take the duty to lead the government and the country towards betterment. And over 29 crore scholarships have been offered and more shall be offered in the future. Secondly, the results of the students are constantly reported to us along with the documentary proof on our site, and it's maintained above a standard to maintain an average. Secondly, for time being, and more precautions shall be taken in the future if needed.
My question is for the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Brihan Dash. What is the evacuation plan of the government for our citizens, workers, deployment, and how External Minister is planning all this?
The External Affairs Minister.
By very great artists, the only predictable thing about life is its unpredictability. And if I were to make a statement in political context, it would hold true for every word I say. After a long and monotonous time period of 19 years and 10 months, Taliban researched on the land of Afghanistan, bringing great nation, infringing the very pillars of Afghanistan's democracy. India, aligning its principle of Paropkar and launched an operational evacuation mission named Operation Devi Shakti. The task of this complex mission was to evacuate as many Indian nationals and bring them to the safety of the Indian border. Over 800 people in their own nation. Communication channels have been made with Afghan Sikhs, Hindus, and we are willing to help those in need. Throughout this time, formal communications with UN have been made, and we have attended a formal correspondence at Qatar, Doha, leading a way for a prudent outcome with delegates of USA, Russia, thus maintaining its diplomatic stance in the ongoing situation.
I question the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Brihan. As we all know right now, Taliban is the reality of Afghanistan and the geopolitical situations are rapidly changing over the region. So what will be the role of India in the forum of SAARC in which Afghanistan is also a member? And how are we going to sustain a 3 billion investments which includes many projects like Salma Dam and it is the development...
Respected Speaker, with uncertainty happening of the international representation of Afghanistan under Taliban, a question has arisen about the country's membership in the SAARC. The membership of the country and also the future of the SAARC depends on Taliban creating an inclusive and humanitarian government. We are committed to the development of cordial relationships with all our neighbors. As the relationship with Afghanistan has been concerned, our investment such as Salma Dam, new parliamentary building, libraries, and military training to soldiers and officers towards the Afghan people. And we have also been confirmed that our infrastructure won't be infringed with.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I would like to ask External Minister Brihan on how is the government planning the coming strategies and will it be politically engaging with the future proceedings?
The Foreign Minister in Doha met Taliban leaders and raised their concern that Afghanistan soil should not be used for fostering terrorism and anti-Indian activities. And India is very steady and cautious about its approach. Our decisions with Taliban primarily are focused on security of Indian nationals, women and minorities.
The Defence Ministry is seriously considering the formation of an integrated battle group as quick decision making is a key aspect during wartime. The changing power equation in Afghanistan is challenged for India, prompting a rethink of strategy and required initiative underscored. The government is alert and no anti-national force would be allowed to encourage terrorism from across the border in this situation. Our government also wants that anti-national forces do not encourage terrorism from across the border by taking advantage of the development either. We have some concerns which can become challenges from the point of view of national security.
Honorable Speaker, sir, the Taliban took control of Afghanistan in August, capturing all the major cities in a matter of a few days. 2 weeks before us was sent to complete its troop withdrawal after a vicious 2-decade war.
dealing with any situation. We are always prepared to face any threats arising from air, water, or land. As Defence Minister, I will stress on continuously upgrading and updating the national security system to face new challenges. Some new threats have emerged because of the development of the modern technology. We are continuously upgrading our defense security system to face new challenges. The government's aim is to make the country strong, prosperous, and secure. Such an India that doesn't scare among smaller nations and that India's growing power is not a threat to them. From the war that reached Afghanistan and the power pushed by Taliban as well as India's defense and security establishment concerned. We know that the next 1 year will be crucial for us as the surge of the Taliban will certainly have a ripple effect in the region. Worst fear is that many paid fighting terrorists or mercenaries will be diverted to Kashmir in India. But as a strong defense force which is committed to defend its borders, we are closely monitoring the situation. There was trust deficit between India and Pakistan, and the country needs to be vigilant of this fact from the point of view of national security. An agreement was signed by the DGMO of India and Pakistan to maintain ceasefire along the line of control in February this year. We are currently in wait and watch mode because the trust deficit between both the nations is a major problem. Adding to that, no ceasefire violation has taken place ever since the agreement was signed. Pakistan understands that it is not in a position to do much in Kashmir, especially after the nullification of Article 370 and 35A. Pakistan suffered defeats in the 1965 and 1971 wars, which completely proved that it was unable to wage a full-scale war against India.
Mr. Arvind, Pakistan had commenced a proxy war against India and also provided training to terrorist money and weapons to target India. And this Afghan crisis had potency made the situation even more difficult and made our borders more vulnerable for infiltration. So what does the government stand on it?
Had become the nursery of terrorism in the whole world. On Jammu and Kashmir, an effective action by the Indian security forces has been going on there for the past 7 years. I have this belief that the remaining terrorism in Kashmir will also end. I have this belief because the strength and oxygen that separate forces used to get there due to Article 370 and Article 35A are over. India is not only taking action against terrorism within crossing the border if needed. After the Uri terror attack and about testimony for the same. Today, we can say that Pakistan's supported model of terrorism in India is getting demolished.
Honorable Speaker, sir, my question is for the Defence Minister, Mr. Adil Prabhu. Mr. Speaker, our country has always been a standard bearer of moral and philosophical responsibilities related to our neighboring countries. In this crisis situation in our neighborhood, while the government is not taking any concrete action against Taliban and its allies, what is our policy related to Afghanistan in the terms of ongoing situation? It seems that government is not willing to take any substantial action and seems evading of its moral responsibilities. My suggestion to the government is to make an international pressure on Taliban to counter their possible action, our interest in and out of that Afghanistan, and also to ensure the humanitarian and the refugee problem do not multiply because of the radical Islamic groups operating in Afghanistan and outside of that Afghanistan have always been India's natural enemy. So, can government clear it? Please take on it.
Over the House, I want to tell the opposition and the fellow countrymen that has never compromised with the ideals of humanity and fraternity. We are indeed the only country in the world following the policy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning all countries on the earth are our family. But we, as a responsible nation, cannot neglect or avoid the reality of the world. Taliban rule is now a reality in Afghanistan, and our infrastructure and investments in Afghanistan would not be harmed by. Our government is taking multiple layers of diplomacy and multilateral attitude to solve this problem. Our government is in contact with other national governments, collaboration of prevention of our citizens. Our government has also done the task of providing food and medicines to the people of the war-ravaged country. Talks, negotiations and discussions are in the process to ensure that any unusual crisis was not maximized. Taliban has also assured India that it would not work against any Indian interests. Still, we are always ready to face any eventuality or to face any calamity. The United Nations has expressed it's up to the current Taliban government to respond to its promises. If they try to go back to the previous rule, India is with the United Nations to contribute as peacekeeping force, just like India did in Sudan, Congo, and other African nations. For Afghanistan, until our security and investments and infrastructures are destroyed, we are committed to a no-boot-on-road policy for Afghanistan. I also want to assure the nation and its citizens that India is taking all measures to promote, defend its interests and working to uphold humanitarian and moral principles. Thank you.
Sir, today I formally present the bill for reorganization of state of Jammu and Kashmir and scrap Article 370 of Indian Constitution. Article 370 deals with the provision of special status for Jammu and Kashmir.
Members read the main letter of the House.
Article 370, which is a temporary provision, is a big and integration of Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the nation. So this provision must go in order to move forward as a country.
Members please be silent. Let Home Minister complete his statement.
All I want to say is that
We want Prime Minister's statement on this topic.
कृपया शांति बनाए रखें.
Article 1 and Article 2 of this article clearly indicates that it is a temporary provision.
Members please be silent.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय जी, जब हम सरदार पटेल के अखंड भारत के सपने को साकार कर सके, एक देश में एक संविधान, एक निशान एवं एक प्रधान होना चाहिए। अतः मेरे संसद सदस्यों से गुजारिश है कि देश हित में बिल को पास कराएं एवं अखंड भारत को और मजबूत करें।
Whatever decision government has taken is for the welfare and security of people of Jammu and Kashmir. We are even given peace in the curfew, and there has not been any terrorist attack in the state also. So we put forward the bill for reorganization of state of Jammu and Kashmir, in which Jammu and Kashmir state will be divided into two union territories, one for the Ladakh region and another for the Jammu and Kashmir region. Both the union territories will be governed by lieutenant governors appointed by the central government. The government is also in contact with people of both the areas, and other obstacles will be solved when these areas become union territories. Hence, we can develop these areas as trade centers and as tourist centers, which in turn increase the lifestyle and revenue of people of those areas. Hence, I urge the speaker to pass the motion.
I have it. As with the majority vote, the motion is passed. The Secretary General may take the bill to the Gazette. Now, the House is adjourned for the day and
It's time to invite our chief guest, Group Captain Ashish Mishra, Chief Administrative Officer. Sir.
Arman Joshi. Vaibhav 11th A. Gulgun Verma 11th C. 11th A. Hiya Mishra 11th C. Sharma 8th A. Nandita 7th B. Devan Rehan Das 8th. Ayush Tripathi 9th A. Kunal Singh Vishal Dey Sharanya 8th A. Ayuja 8th A. Rathore 9th A. Kanishka Singh 9th B. Megha Devi 9th B. Medhini Jenny Ishika Bhatt 7th B. Adya Mishra 8th A. Anagha 8th A. Shreya Thakur 9th A. Shreyash Pratap Singh 9th A. Shri Shukla 7th A. Hardik Yash Raj 9th A. Divya Jyoti Bhal 8th B. Aditya Vinayak 7th B. Komal Singh 7th A. Advait Prabodh Menon 7th B. Palak Nas 7th A. Jaskiran B. Thank you, sir.
Respected Principal Sir and Mrs. Ma'am, all teachers, staff of Echo School, and especially the children. Thank you so much be here today to witness what I can only call a very, very stellar show by all the children who have participated in the Youth Parliament. As you know, the debates are the very bedrock of democracy, and India, by virtue of being the largest democracy in the world, a vibrant debate between the various parties only encourage and nurture the democratic government or the democratic sort of society that we live in. So without taking much time, I'll once again congratulate all the students who have participated and encourage you to keep up the good work. Thank you.
And the flag of Air Force School Chakeri has been taken up. Alright? So from our side, give the big round of applause to the children. So all are not here, but this is just symbolic. The entire teaching fraternity they join in this. During the rehearsal and the practices. We are going to recover it. And this recovery mode, you have to be proactive. You have to be proactive. So tomorrow onwards, Sipra ma'am is here right now. We'll be making some arrangement assembly time onwards. All children of mock parliament rehearsal, they will report at 7:50, irrespective of odd and even. Irrespective of odd and even. So this arrangement we are making for some days. And subject teachers, please see that. I know that Sipra ma'am, please maintain the silence. The area which has been covered, it has to be addressed. Maybe 1 or 2 periods, maybe even 1 period will suffice, and you will be at par. And dear children, it is applicable to all of us. Whatever you are doing, other than the scholastic front or the post-scholastic front, it means, see that nothing is done at the cost of one thing. It means, if you are doing other than academic something, other than the classes, out of the classes, so see that your academic is not compromised. If you are able to take the load of both, you are rocking, you are smart, and overall, your best will come out. So learn to manage. In life also, many things goes parallel. And if you are able to manage those things from the schooling itself, certainly you will be doing better later on in life. Alright, so I will be not taking much of the time. Some of you might be tired also, putting on different kind of attire. It is getting heavier, but you all are looking brighter and smarter. And I can say that some of you will be finding some time, maybe many years later, some place in our house, lower house, or maybe in the state assembly.
Thank you.
So remember, so this spark will certainly give you something, if not to everyone, at least to some of you. Okay? And so good to keep it up, but same time, the teachers who have been behind the culture. Okay, clap for them. Okay, Social Science Department, led by Sipra ma'am, and of course, many people directly, indirectly, they have been involved to see that you are able to do what you are thinking and planning to do. Okay, maybe the person who is managing the mic part, maybe the person who is managing the camera part, everybody is involved. And the Caddo has been so kind enough to spare. So after AOC sir, second in command is the Caddo, who is the busiest man of the station. And he's found the time, and he has been so generous to give the certificate to the youth in this school. Some 34 participants were there, but still, with a big heart, he has given that. Okay, to see that whatever exposure, opportunity, and privileges is being given to you, the being part of Air Force School, you are making the best of it. Alright? So, bye bye. See you tomorrow. God bless you all.